We got a 2015 Nissan Quest with a V6. I believe it's a 3.5. Takes 4.5 quarts of oil. And let me get the oil that I'm using in the filter just to give you an example. Alright, I'm going to use some Pennzoil Platinum 5W30. I believe this engine calls for 0W30. I'd like to use something a little bit heftier than that. It's not going to really hurt it. And then a 10,000 mile extended life S6607XL oil filter. The oil is already drained. Oil plug is right there. Don't forget your new crush washer if you need it. And you can see where it's dripping out right there. Slowly but surely. And I already took. It's going to be a challenge, so you're going to have to give me a moment. I'll tell you the socket size that this takes too. But I already went ahead and drained the oil before I started recording this, just because I wanted to get it knocked out. Alright, I'll get that tightened up in a second. Make sure you got some brake clean. And some napkins handy. Paper towels. Let me get a paper towel here. Messy stuff. I like to put cardboard underneath too, so that way in case anything drips. It's a 14mm socket that's used to go ahead and take it off and tighten it up. And then we got to get all these plastic clips off the side. I just take the passenger side front tire off. It's a lot easier to get the filter off that way. And then on top of it also I can check the brakes. And the brakes on this, I don't know if you can really see, I can't. Oh, the brakes are in good shape. So I'm not going to spend an hour showing you what the brakes look like. Especially since this thing won't focus. Let me get the light on once. Maybe I can do it that way. Okay. Yeah, still plenty of pad left. The back is a little bit more worn than the front, but everything's all good. Brake fluid is fine. I know I'm going to need a brake job sooner or later. I thought I might have had a leaking line right here, but I wiped it up and I pushed the pedal and nothing's coming out, so it's all good. I'm not losing any brake fluid. Just a standard, when I drive. As the pads start to depress, then you start to lose a little bit of brake fluid, but everything stops just fine. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy tightened up. And the only reason I'm using this wrench is because this is the one that I grabbed. This should be done dripping. And I'm using a cat litter pan. So in fact, before I even tighten this, let me wipe this sucker off. I don't want oil dripping on the ground. I take the oil cap off on the top too. It helps speed up the process. I don't ever let any oil drip on the ground if I can help it. Alright. Alright. And then you don't want this Gorilla tight. I just make sure that, and this is definitely the wrong wrench to use. There we go. I felt it snug up. That's all I'm looking for. And I'm using a 3/8 ratchet. I'm not using a 1/2 inch with an impact like some places like to do. Gonna get this oil changed done in 5 seconds. All right, now grab the old trusty Autocraft tool here. I got myself my little mechanic seat right here. And this is where it's gonna get exciting. See how many of these we can break before we get them out. But this clip puller actually really makes all the difference. All right. I don't have to take it out all the way. I don't plan on it. There we go. Alright, that one was going to come out, so let's go ahead and set that on our towel. So we got these two to pull out. Now I have the option of pulling these other two, which I think I'm just going to pull the full shield off. And this will give me a chance to check the serpentine belt, and then I can check the front tie rods, everything like that, and make sure everything's all good and snugged up. But man, this vehicle has about 59,000 miles, a little over 59,000. And yeah, you can see it's plastic clips fighting. Alright, so maybe with those two out, I can just move this out of the way. That's going to be our filter right there. That's an STP. I went about 6,000 miles on this oil change. When I use the synthetic stuff, I'll just take all the clips out and make it easier on myself. When I use the synthetic stuff, I usually go anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000 miles, depending on what I'm using filter-wise and what I'm using oil-wise. I haven't found synthetics to be that much different one from the next. I've had multiple vehicles where I've used synthetic stuff, so come on, buddy. Otherwise, I'm going to have to leave you in there because I don't want to bust you. Alright, I initially took this tire off because I thought maybe my brakes were a little low, like I said. Nope. Yeah, I did bust it a little bit. That's okay, though. It'll live. It'll live to see another day. Now I can take this crusty shield off. Everything's tightened up under there. We'll get this filter off. Now, I do have an oil filter. You know, let me change this socket wrench out because I don't like this one. It's not good for this type of setup because it moves too much. It's better suited for other things. You can hear the dog in the background. Maybe you can come over and help me finish up. All right, I like the old Stanley here. Extendable wrench, like a baton. What'd you say, partner? All right, so got this, and then I took the oil filter wrench out. But where did I put you? This toolbox working out very, very nice, by the way. Yeah, I took it out, so I don't know where I put it. I just got to find it because I ended up grabbing this. So let me go ahead and shut this off, and I'll show you what's next. There's the part number that I'm using, 65/67-14. This is a Fram. It fits right on there like that. And believe me, if you try to do it without on this vehicle, you're going to be in for a world of hurt. Trying to get that filter off with just your hand is almost impossible. And let me see, I don't have anything on my hands. Let's check this belt tension. All right. Belt tension still feels good. This is what I showed on a Nissan Versa. Yeah, I believe it was a 2016. If you can check the tension with your finger, you don't need a Cricut tool. It doesn't hurt to have one. I would have one if you could, but if you can feel and still be able to move it, you're good to go. You don't want to over tighten it, but you don't want to under tighten it because there's a certain amount of foot-pounds you're supposed to have on it. So everything's operational. I don't appear to have any leaks. So let me go ahead and get that filter off and then take it from there. Let's see if this is going to be an easy. Oh, it is. Oh, it's my lucky day. Now make sure you got your pan underneath and get it about half and half, because if this starts leaking, it's going to leak all over the place. And I got some brake clean too, so you can hear it though. This thing really vacuums itself to the engine. So I'll let it do the slow drip, I think, or maybe not. Yeah, see how it's just pouring all over the sides here. I got all the oil out. Well, it just keeps turning forever. There you go. Like I said, this is what you want the brake clean for, because I'm going to hose all that down with brake clean after I'm done. This cardboard definitely comes in handy too, because you may spill something along the way. But man, those threads and everything look fantastic. Everything looks really good. Oil, synthetic oil, does a pretty good job. See if there's any fun stuff in the filter. Nothing shining. No metal bits. Yep, nothing. Everything. Oil seems fine. I checked the oil before I changed it. I didn't lose a drop. So let me go ahead and get all this cleaned up and get all this buttoned up, because when I take this over to the auto places and take my used oil in, what I typically do is I end up taking this filter right here and clean it up real good, and I take everything, clean it up real good, package it up in a box, and then I give it to them. And if they want to make a mess, that's their choice, but I try to make it as clean as possible for them. All right, I got my new filter. Like I said, there's the part number. This is the one with the, I believe, a silicone gasket and all the good stuff in it. Good filter medium. Yeah, I believe that's silicone. I don't believe that's the black rubber. I believe that's that like orangish red silicone. My full synthetic here. The only downside to this stuff is that I'm only going to be using 4.5, so I'll probably mix the synthetic with another batch of whatever I got, and that way I'll have somewhere to dump the dirty oil. Now, I don't believe I'm going to take any of this oil here, and I'm not going to dump any of this oil into the filter, just because when I put the filter sideways, it's going to take all that oil and just dump it out anyway. I'm not going to be able to get it on fast enough, and I'm going to end up losing oil. So what I will do to make it easy here, let's sure fingers a little okay on the okay side. Let's go ahead and loop up this rubber here. It's kind of hard to do one-handed, but keeps it from drying out, helps it form a seal. So, great. And I already wiped that off, but I don't really see a whole lot of point in wiping it off just because of the fact it keeps dripping. And I've let that thing drain out enough, so this I can hand tighten if I want. I actually like the color of this filter too. Make sure there's no crud or anything in there. You never want to double gasket these either. You're going to end up with a nice leak, and you don't want that. Believe me, lose oil pressure and ruin your engine. And you want them tight, but you don't want them tight to the point. There. And that's good to go. So, trying to think if there's anything else other than putting the oil in and then putting everything back together. We're pretty much done. Also, on a side note, the Ryobi works fantastic. I took the caliper bracket and everything off. I checked this to make sure it wasn't seized up. Takes the lug nuts right off. Let's hit that with some brake clean, and then we will start to put the oil in. I tend to get this oil when it's on sale. Whatever local auto place is having the package deal, or I couldn't tell you if synthetic's better than regular. I've used both, and I've had many engines last quite a long time. I think the key is just change oil in the first place. All right. I'll wipe all that stuff off too. I don't go all gung-ho. I'm going to end up using more brake clean and actually cleaning up the surface, or not the surface, but inside that pan. And I'm going to be I'm doing this right here. I don't like leaving a mess if I don't have to. Usually when I get the oil changed, they just leave slop all over the place. They're getting paid by the job, so they want to get done as fast as possible. It's another reason I like just doing stuff myself. I can take my time. Now, one of the keys to this engine is after you end up getting the oil in, like I said, it takes 4.5 quarts, and that's with the filter on. You want to let everything run, get the oil circulated, and then don't check it for about 10 to 15 minutes. If you check it prematurely, the oil is going to be halfway up the stick, and you're going to think you did something wrong. Let it sit for 15 minutes on a flat level surface, then check the oil. Oh, and all that crust. And then I'm going to bag all this stuff up, like I said, get it all in a plastic container, and I'll take it over to the local auto parts store. But yeah, let's go ahead and get that done now. I misspoke about how much oil you're supposed to put in. It's actually 4.75 quarts. Did that now. So we got about 4.75 quarts in there. Make sure there's oil and all that on the stick in a second. But that's going to be that. For that, we're going to run the vehicle before I throw the tire on, and then before I throw the shield on, because I want to make sure there's no leaks. But 4.75 quarts of oil. So usually when I get to the 4.5 mark, or around the 4.5 mark, I start slowing down on how much oil I start pouring in, because I don't want the oil to overfill. So, I mean, I guess if you put 5 quarts in, would it really kill it? Probably not, but just in case. Other than that, that is about it. Let's see if there's any Pure Plus, redesign. Okay, no. Correct oil, correct filter, correct everything. Let's take a look on the side and underneath and make sure we're not dripping nothing. Then we'll run it, then we'll check it that way. All right, that's a good reason to clean that with brake clean too, because you'll be able to tell right away if you're leaking. And then you don't appear to be leaking by the drain plug. Now we'll run it, and then we'll be able to tell that way. We'll put that underneath just in case if anything starts coming out, you can catch it. I'm not going to check the oil yet. I am going to put the cap on before I start it. And then after I know everything runs good, we'll get all this piece back together, and then this will be done. This is like a 15-minute process. I got it running. Started it up. Obviously make sure the oil cap is on the engine. Unless you want a big mess going everywhere. Everything sounds good. Everything looks good so far. See any leaks? I don't see any leaks. So we can start to get everything buttoned back up. Let this run just for a second, get the oil circulating. I can actually feel it. And filter, feel something in it, pressure. That's hand tightened. I got my plastic clips, I got the plastic guard. I'm going to get this turned off and get all that back on. Like I said, now's a good time to start checking your tie rods for play. Nothing. And then this is just a typical. Now, what I'm very curious about, something I don't know about, and I'm going to have to look into is, you got this little plastic cap there. I don't know if I can insert grease that way or not. These don't appear to be greased. So I wonder if these are aftermarket. But there's no play in the middle. I mean, they move, but they're supposed to move if there's no play. But I'd like to get some grease in there, so. But anyway, let's get it turned off, get it buttoned back up, and then check the oil. Forgot what oil change would be complete without me doing the reset on the light here. So let me see how I'm going to be able to do this without making a complete mess. Okay, maintenance oil. Let's go into the menu mode. Come on. There we go, maintenance. So I basically got it to the menu mode with this. Push this to move it over. Now it's on maintenance. Push select again. Oh, sorry. Let me do this again. There we go. Now I push this to enter. Back, tire, oil, filter, other. So let's do oil. Push the top one. Okay, so oil reset. Yes, we're going to reset it. Okay, we want to take this up to... No. Setting, reset. Yep. Okay, now it's down to 0, but I don't want to do that because I want to see if I can actually get this. Let's go to setting once and see if we can get that up some. I'm going to put that up to 7,500 miles. There we go. It tells you setting up right there. So, okay, now enter. Or do now that's the oil. Now we got to do the filter. Now I use this for the oil filter, but you could use this for your cabin filter as well. Setting, let's take that up to 7,500. So it's right alongside. And then let's do a reset on the oil. Nope, nope, nope. Maintenance. Filter. Alright. Setting. Nope. We got the setting done. We want to do a reset. There we go. Reset. There we go. Now we're all reset. Now we get out of this. And then the only light that we have on right now, I believe, is because it thought that the key wasn't in here because I have it sitting outside. 44 outside. Alert. Let's find out what the alert is. Timer, IC. Okay, well, we don't need any of that. All right. That's it.